Hello. We are starting now today. What is happening in Ukraine and how nomads can help. And today we have here with us Orest Zub, my friend from Ukraine, who is right now with us from joining us from Lviv. And we also have Lydia Baikalova with us. Also, we know each other for a really long time. She's also from Kiev. Originally born in Kiev, right? And
Yeah, born and raised, actually.
and today you're joining us from Los Angeles. So today we want to have a talk about about the situation, about how we can help, how nomads can support the current cause. And it's great to see you here today, and to have a conversation about this very not very good topic. And I have to also mention today that Orest and Lydia, you were actually the first two people that I met in Ukraine. And on the first day, actually, I met Orest. It was an invitation from Orest to come there. And we were invited from the city of Lviv to organize an event there. And Orest is the ambassador of the city of Lviv. And it was amazing. It was so amazing that in the end, I actually ended up spending probably a total time of over 1 year in Ukraine. And I take this quite personal, what is happening right now, because I know a lot of the spots, a lot of the areas, and I know so many great people from there. So I'm happy that we can talk about this today with you. And if you're joining us here, you are welcome to just ask some questions. Let us know, ask any questions that you have about this topic. And then we will answer those. And we know that we are just recording this now. So a lot of people will watch this later. Many people will actually watch it later, and many more people are joining us now. But it's great to have you here. So if you're joining us at the moment, feel free to ask any questions that you might have for Orest and for Lydia. And so today we'll talk about what is happening, how we can help, and because there are much more things than we think. And it's also very, very good to actually get the opinion of the people who are right now in this situation and who have been affected by this the most. Orest, do you want to tell us a little bit what has happened to you in the last 3 weeks, and how things are going there?
Sure. Hello, everybody. Thanks, Johannes, for giving this opportunity to talk to the global digital nomad community. Lydia, nice to hear you, my fellow friend from Ukraine. And regards to all the guys who are watching this live, feel free to write in the comments below, where are you at the moment, just to have the feel of the global presence. Me personally, I am staying in Lviv in Ukraine. So I'm traveling around the world pretty frequently. For the last 10 years, I visited over 100 countries different and spent as a digital nomad up to like 4 or 5 months on the road somewhere. So, but when this war was anticipating for some time, right? And there were rumors for at least a couple of months that there is a building up of the military presence near the borders. So it's many people tell like nobody could believe in this. They could not believe, but it still would possible be to predict. So this is the most pure example of the black swan possible in this world. And I was in Karabakh. It's like the conflict area between Azerbaijan and Armenia, just 1 week before the war started in Ukraine. So my flight from Baku to Ukraine was 4 days before the war started. It was on the 19th of February. And even though there were a couple of people like other like international bloggers and geopolitical journalists on that flight who were supposed to go further somewhere in Europe, no one of them took the plane. And they told me like, Orest, don't take the plane. There will be the war in Ukraine. So knowing that, I intentionally came to Ukraine because I wanted to be part of this. I wanted to be close to my people, to my family, and participate in this tremendous historical movement, what we are doing now. It was my pure decision. I understood exactly what I'm going for. Like, okay, I didn't understand exactly what's expecting me, but I knew that this definitely will be some movements here, yeah? And the reason for that was that in 2014, when the first revolution, when the previous revolution happened in Ukraine, you remember the Euromaidan 2014, I was backpacking in Mexico. You know, like I know that you nomads, you had the recent event in Playa del Carmen. So I know this place very well. I spent a month there. Before Playa del Carmen, I was in Puerto Escondido, surfing, smoking weed, just having amazing time. And when this was happening, like the revolution in Ukraine started. So I felt very miserable, anxiously watching everything online, what was happening, and feeling helpless. So this time I knew exactly I'm going to do everything I can in order to participate, in order to contribute. So that's basically what happened. 4 days after my arrival to Ukraine, the war started, and I want just quickly show you what actually happened, so that you have the idea. Okay, I'm sharing the screen now. Can you please grant me the permission, Johannes?
Yes.
To do the screen?
I
I'll do it
cannot
very
see it,
quickly in a
but
couple of minutes.
yes, I cannot see it now, but I cannot see your screen.
You
need
cannot.
to- no. You need to.
Can you give me admin rights if you can? Or
Yes, I can try. I will try.
let's try. In the meantime, I'm going to explain. So on February 24th, Russia attacked Ukraine with a massive missile launch, targeting 70 different objects around the country. For you to consider, Ukraine is the largest European state. It's almost twice the size of Germany or twice the size of Italy. And this was something unbelievable. Then they invaded by land, which created the massive panic around the country and the largest movement of people since the World War II. So at the moment, 10 million people are displaced from their homes. I am fortunate enough, because I'm staying in Lviv, still cannot share the screen anyway, and to have a clear explanation like what happened. Massive panic, huge traffic, 10 million of people are trying to move from their homes, running away from the source of aggression. Business of those people go down. Thousands of homes are getting ruined. You've seen all the pictures, you know what is happening around. For me personally, it meant I had to evacuate the female part of my family, my mother, both of my sisters and my nephew. I had to take care of my grandmother, who's very old, and she lives near the airport, which is the sweet target spot. So I took her to the nursing home. And a couple of times per day, together with my wife, we were running down to the underground once there was an airstrike alarm. It was big, like psychological impact. It took approximately 1 week just to process everything. And once you start realizing that most probably you're not going to die within the next hour, you put yourself together and start working. So in my case, I decided to completely shift the activity of my digital company towards the war needs, toward the resistance, and spread the word into the English audience by documenting on the daily life everything what is happening here. So those were like just the start for me. We will develop it. I'm curious what Lydia was going through, but I can tell you like this: in 1 week, I matured at least for 10 years. It was very scary, but if you ask me now, would I change this experience for something else? I would definitely tell no. I feel very dedicated in this place. I'm grateful that I'm living through this. And if we will go through it, this will be like a tremendous story and tremendous, impact for the development of our civilization. That's really how I feel at the moment.
It's much more than just Ukraine, and I mean, there's so much going on, and it's been such a huge buildup to. It's very hard for us to understand, and I do research and read a lot about these things as well, just so that I understand a little bit more. I also see that many of you are starting to ask questions here, so please write this. We will try to take this up, and we will try to keep a little bit shorter now with our things, so that we can try to answer as much as we can. But Lydia, how were things for you? How did this impact your last weeks, and what is happening? What have you done? Can you share this with us?
Of course. Thank you, Johannes. Hi, everybody. My name is Lydia Baikalova, and I was born and raised in Kyiv. I know I have a deceiving American accent. Please don't believe it. I moved to the States when I was 23, and I've also been a part-time digital nomad for the last 4 years. I was in Los Angeles with my immediate family when the war started on the 24th of February, and when Orest was talking about that feeling of helplessness, when you just feel like you're the most useless human on earth and there's nothing you can do and that's quenching you, that's very much how we were feeling. And we still have a lot of distant family and close friends in Kyiv, and I will talk about that in a little bit. So what we started doing at first is we just started, of course, supporting friends, donating to the army, but then donation planes started appearing. So we bought first a little bit of camo, what they were asking for, and we posted a picture about that. And I think people weren't sure, but we started getting a lot of messages asking for armored vests, because a lot of people in Ukraine, some of them on the front lines, don't have any armor. So and especially guys who are volunteers, they're giving them a machine gun, and some of them on the front lines don't have any armor. So and especially echo. So are you guys hearing an echo or not?
Yes, no, it's okay. It's okay now.
Okay. Also, okay, all gone. So I just took some money that I had in savings and borrowed some more, and we started a campaign. And my parents and I and my partner, we just went and we ended up buying 44 armored vests, 20 helmets. We bought a bunch of first aid kits, and I got a ticket to Poland and just flew like the next day with them. We ended up with 16 bags, and there were a lot of logistical issues because it's a much more complicated process. So they ended up getting stuck, but thankfully the vests are in Ukraine and they are being distributed to the right people. And that part has saved me from absolute despair, being able to do something. So in the last couple of weeks, I've been in contact with many people, telling them how to buy, where to buy, what to buy, because there was a lot of debate about the type and how you can ship them. That to me really has been something that has allowed to keep my sanity, because the things that were happening in Ukraine, and I can get very emotional talking about them because it is difficult. Like my uncle, his wife and his 2-year-old were near and on the outskirts of Kyiv where active fighting was going on. And first they lost power, then they didn't have any heat. And every day we're calling them, just checking if they're still alive. Because that's where like they had planes flying over them and shells were falling in the next yard. And he had to, for a long time, he was just charging his phone off his car battery because he didn't have anything and nobody could get to them. They couldn't get evacuated. And he was one of those people who until the very end didn't believe there's going to be a war. And there were a lot of people like that. And they finally, thankfully, they got evacuated about a week ago, which was just the biggest relief because it was incredibly difficult. And there have been these. I think Johannes Orest needs you to let him back. I think he got kicked off the. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So there have been these terrible milestones that are happening. One of the days I saw 3 of my friends posting about the death of their friends. And it's not, I know for a lot of us when conflicts were happening in other parts of the world, like Syria and other places, it felt terrible, but it was something that was far away. This is not far away. Many of you guys know me, and these are my people. These are people that I know. These are my friends. And that's actually a part of why we started buying vests, is because these friends were asking for them. It wasn't some random person on the other side of the ocean. And that's why we took such action, is because this was one of my classmates and a friend that I grew up with who were saying, hey, we're here, we're fighting, and we don't have anything. Can you help? And like, out of the things that shook us the most, the other day, a bomb fell right near my mom's childhood home, and it knocked out like a lot of the windows and it damaged the house. And she was just in tears the whole morning because we have this emotional wall that we have to put that holds and keeps you functioning, but every once in a while that wall just breaks and we have this emotion. We're definitely going to need some psychological support after that. So if you guys know good therapists, we're all going to need them quite a lot. But that's what we've been doing. And one of the things that also has been an important thing out of what I personally have been doing is connecting people. Because as somebody that's lived in Ukraine, in the US, traveled, done a lot of things in my life, I have had a lot of people reach out to me either asking questions or having a need. And many times those people don't have a way to connect. So I became a connection hub because I had a friend, actually, just miraculously on the same day, I had a friend reach out to me and said, if you know any doctors or anybody that has access to medication or who can possibly donate, our hospitals are empty. There's nothing. They don't even, some of them don't have thread to sew the wounds together. So the need for medication is very dire. And half an hour later, I had another friend from the US who called me and said, hey, a few of my doctor friends are putting together like a fundraiser. They want to get some meds. Do you know anybody that you can vouch for who needs these? And those kind of situations have been happening all over. It's all I needed to do is just keep my ears open. Actually, social media has become very useful because I'm looking through posts, reposting what I feel is relevant or funny, because sometimes we really need a good laugh through all this. And there have been fantastic memes about it. I have to be very thankful for everybody that's putting out good, funny things about it, because that's important for morale. And just connecting those people has been also very helpful. And I think that's one of the things that if you guys can contribute anything else, be that connector, be the person who brings others together and passes on relevant information. I think that's about it from what we've been doing in a nutshell. And I will get the floor back to Johannes.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that what you say is super important about being a connector, right? Because we as nomads, we know thousands of people and we can all make a difference. And that's why we are sharing this here today, or and we want to just encourage you, like maybe you have 1,000 followers here or there, maybe people from Ukraine. You can also follow Orest and Lydia. We also have the links in the description of the video below. And, there are people who are well connected to, and they know where there is need and where there's need today, and where you can actually make an impact, today. And I think that a lot of the us as nomads, for sometimes it's easy for us to say, okay, well, there is a problem there, I'm just going to move somewhere else. This is sometimes a little bit the nomadic lifestyle, but I think that we should all really try to make an impact and try to help where we can, and in order to make sure that this world continues to move in a positive way. And as nomads, we are very, very good connectors. We are very good. We can share our opinions. We have not just insights from one TV channel, but we know we can speak with people from Ukraine, from Mexico, from all countries of the world, and using these connections in a way to help, like even if we don't have enough money to donate or anything. I think that this you're making a very, very important point there to do this. Orest, do you want to share some more thoughts on
definitely? You can, now I figure it out, you can actually let me share the screen, and while Lydia was talking, I was even able to show the real picture.
Now I see this. Okay.
Yeah,
I will just add this here quickly. Yes.
Yeah. Can you? So this is, guys, like, these are not just random pictures from National Geographic or BBC. This is really the stuff what is now happening in Ukraine. And like, there are some outskirts, let's say Bucha, in the west of Kiev, like the large metropolis, yes, the city, that like look at this. Like, this is real. What is happening in the 21st century in modern European city. It's really unbelievable for us as the nomads, but that is exactly what Lydia was explaining. And
the This is
million
actually quite close to
families.
where my uncle used to live.
Yeah. So just for you to understand what people in Ukraine are going through at the moment. So that's basically it. There was like a good question. I see, Johannes, you can turn down the sharing the screen. Yes, and I see like there's Isaac Adams. He is giving the fundamental question, which also starts many like thoughts about this. And he's asking, Orest, based on your personal experience, I would like to get your opinion on why Putin is doing this. Putin is making a lot of accusations against the Ukrainian government. Wanted to get your thoughts. Well, that's public. So before the initial launching campaign of the missiles around Ukraine and the land invasion started on February 24th, just a couple of hours before, Putin published a video, where he announced the start of the special military operation. So in Russia, they still don't call this a war. And the reason, the justification for this invasion is the following. Now listen very clearly. To liberate Russians from Ukraine, to liberate Russians from the Nazi government in Ukraine. Our president is Jewish. So this is like they're not Nazi. His grandparents were like killed during World War during the Holocaust. So it's not Nazi government. And I am not sure about Lydia, but I suppose Lydia is a native Russian speaker, probably. So
and I've never had a problem.
Do you need somebody to be liberated from? So these are really bold statements, and this is the idea he is selling to the Russian society to have their support. And obviously, such justification for everybody in the modern civilized world is simply absurd. But that's what we are facing now. So fame, historical presence. Also, I would say that, like, so this is not a real reason to invade, right? We understand this is the selling point. The real
Lots
reason
of Russians believe it, though. That's important to understand. That
This
it's
is the
not just
selling-
Putin. His propaganda is incredibly strong. I have friends who are fighting with their own relatives and parents in Russia, trying to tell them that that's not true, and they're not believing.
Correct. But I will tell. So many Russian population believe in this, and this is the selling point to Putin. But Putin is smart enough not to understand. His understanding is not like true, right? So, in my opinion, his reason to invade Ukraine is as simple as a survival need. What is the situation in Russia? Putin is at the head of the chain, of the food chain, right? He is surrounded by a lot of wealthy people, oligarchs, who own yachts, who own businesses in London, Chelsea Club, and so on. All of them are enjoying their life. He's the only person out of this elite who is not able to have a cocktail on the beach, right? And his only way to continue stay in power is to have the support of a massive Russian population who is mostly impoverished. That's why he's selling them those ideas. And the only way for people to support Putin is to see the glory of their country and conquering new lands. This is what people really follow to. So this is, I see it in that point. And the history shows us that there is such tradition as belief into the good Tsar. Like this is historical way going down in the Russian history for many centuries. So that's the.
Can I ask you a question, Orest? I hear what you're saying. Is it maybe also that Putin sees that the Ukraine is very, very pro-Western? You are fighting for your things. Actually, you had many different elections in the last 15 years, and they just had one president. And is he also very, very scared that when you become even more, that you are basically becoming your own?
Obviously, Ukraine is drifting away. And Ukraine is one of the most valuable assets for the Russian Empire, right? So Russia is much weaker without Ukraine and without access to the Black Sea. So as I told, this is a simple survival need for the Russian Federation and for Putin personally. And also the history shows us that there is no peaceful change of power in Russia. As soon as the next government arrives, the previous government is persecuted. So like there is really deep skin in the game here.
What do you think, Lydia? Do you have some thoughts you want to share?
Oh, sure. I think as
I
far
mean,
as
we cannot talk. We can probably talk about this for hours, right? So we will just touch some things shortly.
I
But it's
agree.
good. I think it's interesting to hear what your thoughts are on these things.
I mean, the very simple explanation is how many dictators have you seen that are sane and good and don't want to do anything, bad and something to promote their power? Putin is a classic guy, like right in the same line as Hitler and Stalin. He has similar ambition. War makes a leader popular. War is one of the simplest, surest ways to keep being in power, to keep being popular. There are many different reasons for this war. Part of that, he wants land access to Crimea, which he annexed, and Crimea was a political move because I don't know if you guys have seen photos of the celebration of the reunification of Crimea with Russia, but it was a stadium full of people with Russian flags, and they're celebrating that shit every year. And he needed land access to it, and without land access, it's a lot harder because the Crimea had a problem with water.
And this is
there are many hidden reasons, but one of the biggest reasons it is an ambition of a sick mind. There are justified political reasons and other things, but sadly, I was personally still very surprised that there was a war. But then when you look at history, Russia always wanted Ukraine. Like most of the last 500 years of our history is just Ukraine trying to tell Russia to fuck off. Literally, our poetry, our literature, everything is about how we're going to be free from Russia one day. Ukraine has been its own country for thousands of years, but unfortunately, because we are smaller than Russia, we have been invaded many times. In the beginning of the 20th century, Ukraine tried to get its independence. Soviet Union came. Finally, the 90s come, and we'll finally have our own country. But no, we are just not very lucky to have a neighbor such as Russia. It's a big dictatorial power. He wants more power. It's something that what a lot of people need to realize, it's not just a local conflict that's going to go away. And that's why it's very important for everybody to stand here, because I'm not going to try to go into what this can become and go into, but the world's not going to be the same place again. And a war can never end in a stalemate, because there's just going to be more war. That's what happened in 2014. That was the beginning of the war, and it basically went into nothing and kind of a mid-ground where, you keep those territories, they're ours, but that wasn't the end of the war. Either one side needs to win or the other side needs to win, because otherwise there's just going to be continuation of this.
I am completely positive that this war will eventually resolve the Ukrainian question, and this will be the outcome of this war is going to be the status quo for quite some time.
And how long do you think? What is your thought now? Can this be resolved in this year, or in the next month, or it's very hard to say anything about it, right?
It's very hard to say. Like, do you remember, guys, what you were doing in the evening of February 23rd? For example, I was having cappuccino with my friend, talking about travel and some business ventures we were doing. Like, it turned overnight, and this happened to almost 2 million people directly involved into this. So nobody knows what's going to happen. Like, what tomorrow? There are different scenarios, from the most positive to the worst, and somewhere in between. But it can go very wild in different directions. Absolutely.
Okay. So now let's talk a bit more about what we can do again, right? Like, you already mentioned that, Lydia, you started the project where you supply vests so that people are not, that will save lives, right? Because they are fighting anyways, and it's better if they have vests and if they can defend themselves in that way. but there are also many other ways of how we can help, right? We can hire people who just lost their jobs. We are all working remotely, so there's no more borders in order to do this. We can we can do so much more things. What would you suggest, Orest, as well? Some more things, some more ways of
I will
how
be very precise here. Something everybody has to understand is that war is the competition of economies. Who has better ammunition, who has better equipment, that eventually wins. Of course, we have a lot of support from different parallel sides. Yeah, like apart from bullets, there are tanks involved. Also, Ukrainians are fighting on the media sphere. We have a cyber army. We have like tremendous aid support. Yes, but they like eventually, at the end of the line, brutal power wins. And that is like number one necessity, what is needed. So what is Lydia doing is very well. Also, our government provided like exactly like entry points how people can donate to support directly the army, because on the higher level there are like aircrafts are being shipped and other stuff, and this is just the money game at like when it's already coming here. So you are free to donate directly there, or like locally what Lydia, for example, is doing, and the links are provided next to this video. Then second, yes, everybody is participating. The speed of life in Ukraine is like 10x of the normal. Everybody is busy, volunteering, logistics, armors, media, and so on. So when the war started, it was very critical decision for me. What can I do in order to use my superpowers and to be the most effective? And I decided that I will reorganize my digital company activity towards informing in English language what is happening. And what's very important is documenting on a daily basis my local perspective, because I'm not trying to fight the bold headlines or show the same picture that everybody have already seen. I'm documenting the life of one person's story, of one family, how the family was evacuating, how we are really going through the sirens down to the bunker, which I am able to do because I have an organized team, and I'm a blogger myself before the war. So there are some skills to do this, and this really spreads this message. So number two, follow me, guys. It's very encouraging. And if you let me, Johannes, now to share the screen, I will quickly show those channels where you can do it. So being a Ukrainian language blogger, yes, I started doing this in English. This is the Instagram, daily updates, who is doing what is happening in life. I am trying my best to use my content writing skills, which used to be my profession in marketing, in order to transfer those feelings and to show the real stuff. So this is the Instagram, Orest Zub, please subscribe. YouTube went also pretty well. Like this is the result after like 2 weeks, and there are some in-depth videos on different matters, what is happening in Ukraine, and obviously the Facebook. So simply subscribe, follow. This will keep you on track on the latest things, and also it will provide you more education about the local situation. Feel free to share with your friends and speak about this. Right, this will make you informed. So that one, you can now, Johannes, close this. Also, there are links provided below. And the third option, I know that there are many different people, and maybe the exact donating to the war machines doesn't work for you, or maybe you don't care about the social media or the guy who is living during the war here. That's absolutely fine. There is also another link below this video with the multiple options that you are free to explore and choose what is the best, what really resonates best for you. The important stuff here is to understand that you cannot stay aside, because we are all in this boat. It's not a local conflict. Ukraine is on the front field of the entire civilized world, and the history is written, guys, now here. The outcome of this war will define all of our future. You will see it. And the way how we will travel, the way how we will work, the way how we will make money, and the way how we are going to talk about the democracy, about the human rights and freedom in general. So choose whatever works best for you, yes, but don't stay away. Yeah, this is one of those unique examples of a conflict in the human history when it's clearly defined what is black and what is white. And I highly encourage you to stay on a white side.
Yes, and Lydia also has got some projects. So if you want to support her project, there is actually also a crypto link. Where do you want to just talk about this?
Yeah, definitely. And I have had a lot of people asking me how they can help. So for one thing, I know that a lot of people here have already donated and helped in some way, because if you're here, it means you care. And I want to thank you guys for doing that. Because just being here and knowing, or if you're watching this when it's recorded, thank you for taking the time. This is important to all of us. I agree with Orest that this is going to be a very defining, Harry Potter. It's battle of good and evil. Let's face it. That's what it is. And keep in mind, there are other autocracies watching. China is watching this to see what they can do with Taiwan. If Ukraine falls, then Taiwan's probably going to be next. That's important to understand, and that's going to kick a chain reaction. So when 10 years later you're looking back, give yourself a reason to be proud, because we're crafting our legacy in more ways than one right now. And how can you be helpful? Well, firstly, start with yourself. What can you do? Do you have time? Do you have money? Money is very important. However, not everybody's able to just put everything they have on the line, because your business is a part of it. You yourself are a part of it. Can you maybe put a banner with like a portion of the profits towards something that is where help is needed? Do you have skills that are relevant? Can you dedicate 1 hour a day to doing something that is useful, be it graphic design, be it, like Orest said, maybe supporting by hiring people from Ukraine. If you have questions, if you really are struggling with how you can help, just write me personally. I'll help you. I'll work with you and try to figure it out. So starting with self, what can I do? The second line of that is, who do I know that can help? Do I have any friends in hospitals or doctors who can help? Do I have any friends that can we get discounts? Because it's not just vests that are needed. We need tactical gear. We need drones, laptops. We need thermal goggles. Do you know any production businesses? Actually, and I want to put this out there. Some friends of mine are working on producing these vests in Ukraine, and they need steel. They need actual like metal for the plates. So if you know anybody that's in that industry, please put me in touch with them, because they're using whatever resources are in Ukraine, but they're not that many. But please don't call European providers yet. What happened is they called a lot of providers and they janked up the price because of a lot of people asking. So don't call anybody yet, especially in Europe. But if you have any connections in that sphere, let us know. If you have any connections with airlines and you can get discounts for bags, because lots of people are literally flying this stuff in their suitcases, because that's the fastest way to actually get it to Ukraine through Poland. That's what some of my guys are doing. That's what I did. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But logistically, there are a lot of difficulties. And Orest mentioned that economies win wars. That is very true, but it's economies and logistics. We need to make sure it's all organized and try to do our best to actually get the stuff into the hands of the people. So if you have any ideas of how you can support that, or anybody that you know that you can influence, it's important. Write your politicians. Encourage them to support Ukraine more, because yeah, the world has been supportive, but realistically, you guys have also seen people saying a lot of no's. There were planes that weren't handed to us. There were certain other no's that people have heard, and those have been very, very difficult for us to bear. If you guys would like to help with my cause, I'll be honest, I'll take all the help we can get. My family we have personally invested around $30,000 for 20 for the vest and 10 just helping friends and other people. And there doesn't seem like there's going to be an end to it. So that's part of why I'm, collecting donations, because we're not going to be able to just support this on our own. Each vest is about $500. Each helmet is about $350. So it's not a cheap. War is expensive. So, you know, that part, my God, you thought traveling was expensive? Try war. So, and anything that you can think of, and just keep thinking about it. I've got a lot of ideas by just having this in my head. You know, don't shy away from it. And realistically, it's probably going to be a while before this is done. So have patience, have stamina, encourage your friends. If we all stand in this together, we stand a chance. If we don't, it's the alternative is not pretty.
I like that Joanna is saying Ukraine is fighting for the free world, and I think that this is what the Nomads are also all about, right? What we believe in much more than just countries and borders is in freedom and standing up for freedom. And I think that this is a good way to support what you are doing there. And we as Nomadbase, we are also donating 3,000 euros today for part of Lydia's project and part of the other projects that we are doing here today. We will also, as part of Nomadbase, organize a charity event at our next event in Croatia, where Lydia and Orest will also be there. That is in May, and usually for every Nomadbase event, there's a lot of donations, and we will find a good project in May that we will support with that. And we also want to come to Ukraine. We want to come back, and so in the moment when we feel that it is safe and when tourists can go there again, and we feel it's a good moment to go, then we will also organize a Nomadbase live event there. And and I'm sure even at that time there will be so much things, so many ways how we can still contribute and help. And we just hope that this shit is over soon, and that this finds a good and positive ending. And we thank you all for joining us here today. And there are links inside the descriptions. I will update this a little bit, but you can see Lydia's project there. You can follow Orest. You can reach out to Orest. Please, you know, if you have something, there's really not a thing to say like, okay, there's nothing I can do, because there's so much that can be done. And there's also one website, Support Ukraine, that we're also mentioning there. There are hundreds of different ways, even for your country, to support the refugees in many different ways. And I think that this is for a good cause. And of course, there are many things in the world that we need to support, and we need to always continue do this as nomads. And at the moment, supporting you guys and our friends over there, we just wish the best and hope things will go well.
A very quick thing I wanted to mention, because I think it needs a little bit of explanation. Guys with crypto, if you have any crypto, a friend of mine is helping me with a crypto donation campaign. The cool thing about it is they're doing very high matching rate. So basically everything that's donated is currently getting matched like 5-fold. And that campaign's only going to be going on for another 3 days, because they give you 2 weeks. I mean, this is fantastic. I didn't know that existed. But one of the things that's important is they're looking at the number of people that donated. So even if you can donate like a couple of dollars, it's still pretty important, because that's how they up the level of matching. So it's the Gitcoin campaign. If you guys can, if you have any crypto,
the link is in the descriptions.
Yeah, if you can put anything towards that, like, let's make our coins go further.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
So we will finish this. We thank you so much that you're here. We will talk more about this in the future. This is not. It's a start, and we hope that we can finish this nightmare soon. And wish you and your families and everyone all the best. And looking forward to see you soon. Okay, so we will stop this the broadcast now, and thank you all for watching. You joined us here for the whole time. Anything, Orest, Lydia, that we forgot now that we need to mention? Then you can
if we still have time, we can do the Q&A, like, because that was the main.
Yes. So we can still do we can still do a Q&A. We are finished with a normal part now, but we can just continue a little bit. So if anyone has got some more questions, you're welcome to ask those, and then yeah, you can go into these.
So, like, for example, we can go one by one. And I see like the question from the carbon offset company, and he tells, how do you see this conflict resolving? And if Ukraine is able to stop Russia from taking over and starting to attack Moldova and other countries, how do you think Ukraine will develop from here? So, as I told, the outcome of this war will eventually attach Ukraine to the Western civilized world. This is the if we survive. So far, the situation looks that Ukraine is prevailing. On the many directions, Russians are pushed back, and the sanctions that Western governments imposed start to work better and better. So the time is on our side. However, we still need to continue providing supplies. And at the moment, everybody is super inspired in Ukraine. Everybody is so dedicated to finish this on a favorable terms for Ukrainians. Obviously, our main aim is to restore the border integrity of the country. And if Ukraine will fall, it's very likely Russia will continue pushing more to the West. So it's not in the interest of NATO and Western countries to let them touch the doorstep of Poland, for example, or Romania or other part. So we will do our side in Ukraine, keep the war further, but you have to keep supplying us and helping. Yeah, if it will be frozen and like in some like middle terms, it's just the extending of the problem. It's not the resolving of the problem. The problem, this one, has to be resolved by completely overthrowing the government in Russia, the Russian Federation. Like Putin, if Putin will, until he will be in power, until there will be a threat. I would like to remind you that there is Königsberg, like the East Prussia, the Kaliningrad Oblast, the former German territory in the middle of the Baltics. There should be some resolution for that one. Otherwise, it will always be a problem there, right? There is a slice of land between Moldova and Ukraine, which is the puppet state of Russian Federation, Transnistria. So I believe in the program minimum here is to defend Ukraine from Russia, but the program maximum here should be overthrowing the government in Russian Federation, should be settling the resolution for the Königsberg, for Kaliningrad in the Baltics. And if Ukraine will stand, the next one will be Belarus. You will see it, like the Lukashenko will be overthrown. Even without overthrowing of Putin, if Ukraine will stand, Belarus will be the next one. And this country will also slide to the West. That's what will happen. You will see in the next couple of years.
Ideally, my dream scenario, I guess I'll tell you guys my dream scenario. Well, all the territories that Russia has basically invaded, what they never called invasion. But yeah, like Orest mentioned, Transnistria, they annexed Crimea. Georgia has a territory like that. Georgia, the country, not the state. All those go back to their countries, which they're supposed to be with.
Let me show it on the map so people see it.
Well, while you're showing it on the map,
sharing the screen, Johannes.
To be honest, yes. I think it may not be enough to just overthrow Putin. For one thing, Russia's economy needs to crash, because if Russia has an economy, they can continue waging war. So that's why it's very important to have those sanctions, to stop buying their oil and gas. That's what's giving them a lot of money. Everybody needs to stop buying their oil and gas. And ideally, I think there are some republics within Russia that would do great as their own countries. Russia is too big. Russia needs to be split up into smaller countries, ideally, because then it's less threatening. And Chechnya has been wanting to separate since the 90s, and they bombed it down. Kadyrov basically just sold it out. That's the only way that Russia was able to gain it. There are plenty of other republics, which would be fantastic countries. I would love to go to the Siberian Republic at one day. That is not Russia, because that's where so much of my family still lives that I can't visit anymore. Couldn't for a long time now. So
what we are witnessing now is the last days of the last empire in the modern world, guys.
Hopefully,
that's exactly
the last days. I will drink to that.
What do you, so now this is a little bit controversial, right? The Thomas is asking here, he says, in a big German newspaper, someone wrote, Russia's military power is like 10x. So he said, only chance for peace is giving up. Victory, loss is temporary, but death is forever. What do you think? You know, like, what do you think in general about the, if Ukraine, for example, now would say, okay, we give up, you're not giving up because everyone will still be there, right? Like even like there will still be a guerrilla war inside the city. Or for example, would Ukraine go and just say, okay, we can leave out Crimea and Luhansk and Donetsk? Do you have some thoughts on this?
Of course,
you know?
of course.
Say like, okay, so that we don't, I mean, this is probably a discussion that you are having as well, right? Like with
I completely disagree that the Russian military power is 10x. At least that was the assumption before the war started. Remember the first day when it was like massive bombings around, first invasion. So entire world was like it's 1 week maximum. Yeah. Ukraine will hold on, then the government will be overthrown, and Ukraine will become effectively the puppet state of Russia. But what happened? Miracle happened. Ukrainians resisted. This young kid in the back of the classroom was chasing the best he could do, and then the entire world seen that the David is fighting against the Goliath. It appeared to be that the Russian second largest military and strongest force in the world is not that strong, that Ukrainian army is able to resist. And now with the modern equipment, with amazing spirit, we are even pushing them back. So what is really happening is the story of the underdog eventually winning. Just guys, remember the story with Finland during the World War II, or even a little bit before it. This is similar story, but on a much larger scale and much more impactful scale. So everybody now is questioning the Russian military force. I mean, if you ask in Ukraine, would we settle for some kind of mediocre condition? People are so fierce that it's absolutely not possible. It's impossible now. If somebody wants to apply to the paramilitary units, they cannot do it. Like there are more volunteers who applied that the government can process. Can you believe it?
By far, not just like not a little bit. By far, like people can't.
Yes. So in the 21st century, when the value of life is super high, like for nomads who are doing acro yoga and drinking smoothies, going to war is like would be something unbelievable. And the same for the large Ukrainian community. We have programmers, we have one of the best developers in the world. But now everybody is so dedicated to defend our country. Is impossible to go through this. Yes. And something what people also don't realize is that Ukraine is a huge country. It's 1,500, it's like 1,000 miles from east to west. And progressing through the land is very hard. Like once you have the density population of Central Europe, every village is making resistance. So maximum what can be done, and what we really suffer from are the sky bombardments, right? Recently, Russia started using the hypersonic missiles. So that's why everybody is asking to close the sky, because we are going to do the job on the field easily. Like we need to cover from the sky. So nobody is afraid now, absolutely.
One important thing to realize is that surrendering, which in all honesty is just not possible, because Ukrainians will never surrender. Like what would have happened if Europe surrendered to Hitler? Would that have saved lives? The situation is very similar, because surrendering, I can't even say that word seriously because it's a joke. Ukrainians will never, ever surrender.
It's no option.
But it's not going to save lives, because if Russia comes, repressions are going to start. They're going to start building concentration camps for the people that are not willing to accept their regime. Which is, look at what they're doing to their own people. So people right now in Russia, if they post anything pro-war, can get up to 15 years in prison. How do you think they're going to treat people that are not willing to accept that government? Do you think they're just going to come and say, oh, no problem, keep your language, keep your stuff? That's not Russians. The Russians are vile animals. So I'm referring to the Russians that are fighting in Ukraine right now, that are killing people. I don't mean people who are supporting Ukraine. And I have to say a separate thank you for everybody in Russia that's standing up to their government, because that is also an act of heroism. And that is a very difficult thing to do right now, because they are also putting their lives on the line. So for those who are courageous enough to do that, thank you very much for your support. You're supporting your own lives too. So it's not going to save lives. And I've had people ask me that before, like, oh, no, it's temporary, it's okay to save lives. That's not going to, and that's what we got to consider, the quality of life. What kind of quality of life can Ukrainians have under a Russian government that they absolutely hate, to the point where they're willing to lay down their lives to not accept?
I'm not so I mean, I think so just one more thing to add there. So I would also believe that even if Ukraine would say now in some ways they are not fighting against Russia anymore, the guerrilla war and these things, they will just continue, right? So I mean, I'm not the person to
it
know.
Will continue, of course. Like, look,
it will still continue. So there's
even now, the only major city which is under Russian control is Kherson in the south near Crimea. Still, local population go on the manifestations every day. So even like, and we are talking almost like 1 month in war, they managed to capture just one major city, and local population is still there. Not many people know, but when Western Ukraine was incorporated into the Soviet Union after World War II, there was a guerrilla war here all the way until the 50s, when the European borders were secured after World War II. So all of my friends, I'm from Lviv, from the West, all of my friends have a grandfather, many of those who are still alive, that in our young age, they were guerrilla fighters in the 50s on those territories. So a couple, like 1 week ago, I was driving through the villages around in Western Ukraine, and every village is the military camp. Like, you would not watch one of my videos where is written, Russian tanks shall not pass these villages. Guys, on the YouTube, you will see every village is the military camp. Like, there is no way you can simply progress there by land.
Yeah. So I'm just picking up on some things here. Well, Tarek, who runs Nomads Giving Back, another great organization. They also want to support some Ukrainian projects, and so we have some things in the comments, but also feel free to reach out to Orest and Lydia as well, and I would probably be happy to jump on a call as well.
What I would suggest to Tarek, big part of my work, what I'm doing, I am educating people about the matter of Ukrainian question, history, background, and current events. These kind of lives I am doing like 3-4 hours daily. So if you have your community and they are interested to have more in-depth information, to understand it better, feel free to write me. I'm very flexible. It's my mission to speak and to talk about this. So Tarek, please write. I will be happy to contribute by simply talking to your people, to your community about this.
So shall we have 1 hour now, so we are going to finish the conversation now. And I mean, follow Orest, follow Lydia. You see some ways to support. Everyone can support some projects, can do something. It's better to do something, right, than nothing at all. And we are doing this with Nomadbase as well. And reach out to Orest and Lydia for anything you need, for any things. And I'm sure that
we're here for any questions you need.
Okay. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining today, and we will talk soon more.
Stay strong and stay safe.
Bye.